And you see,
All right, I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakwadash. Welcome to another live lesson. Just bear with me 1 second. And the name of this one is There's No Such Thing. And pretty much this title just came to me. I was putting together a lesson together based off of a movie I was watching. Actually, a couple of movies. And one of the movies I was watching was Beneath the Planet of the Apes. That's the second that came out in 1970. That was the second of the Planet of the Apes series that came out. And it's a really good, the first two are really good. The other ones, they're okay, but the first one and the second one to me are the best. And they show you that they were still in on Earth, specifically in America. And in the second one, or in the first one, at the end, they show you that they were still on Earth, and they showed you the picture of the Statue of Liberty being buried in the sand. And I mean, that's not going to happen. That thing is going to be totally obliterated. But they, for the movie's sake, they had to paint the narrative that they were still on Earth. And in the second one, they begin with the ending scene of the first one. They show you Charlton Heston walking on the beach with Nova, and they show you the Statue of Liberty, and go through the whole spiel. And then the other individual comes in, Brent. He was a second guy that came after. And when he was running, him and Nova were running from the apes. They climbed down this thing, and they found like an opening in this mountain. And when they went in there, he started walking around, and he started looking and was kind of like puzzled because he was looking around. It's like, because it was an actual subway. It was a subway that they were at. And he was looking around like, what? And he was reading the signs, Queens, whatever, forget the Queens Plaza, I think it was. And then he looked down and he jumped into the tracks. He was in an actual subway. He jumped down into the tracks. Oh, hold on 1 second. He jumped down into the tracks, right? And then he saw another, okay, it's normal. He saw another placard. He looked at it, welcome to New York, and so on and so forth. So he was like, oh my God, this is my home. I used to live here. I used to work here, right? And he just kept progressing through there. And eventually he ran across these individuals, right, that were pretty much hiding down there. And they were hiding pretty much from the apes. And they told you that their only protection that they had was pretty much magic art, illusions. That's why you had the forbidden zone. You would have certain things happening, fake fire and all that. That was the only defense they had, besides the main defense, which was a missile, right? And there's a lot to that movie, but what I want to bring out was the individuals that first met Brent. They were speaking to him telepathically. They were in his brain, messing with him. And then eventually, after they introduced themselves, they talked, or whatever the case may be, towards the middle, I think, or maybe 3/4 of the way through the movie, they said, we're going to reveal our true self, right? And this is what they showed. They had human mask, and they took the human mask off. You can't really see it that good here. And they showed you that they look like so-called reptilians. All right. And in the movie They Live, it was something similar. You had certain individuals that were so-called reptilian, so on and so forth, and other people that were just normal individuals. But there's no such thing as a reptilian. And you can see behind them, you can see the missile. And I believe because they had these like little gadgets here with crystals and ruby and all that for the and you could hit certain ones and make the missile come up and you could blast off the missile and all that. I believe this is probably where Superman, they got the idea for Superman, for those crystals. But anyway, just thinking out loud. All right, so there's no such thing as no reptilian. All right. Now let's look up the meaning of the word reptilian because you've heard that before. You've heard them say that they're reptilian because they are the serpent. They're offspring of the serpent. Come on, man. Fuck. They're offsprings of the serpent. So on and so forth. Well, no, the offspring of the serpent. The serpent was an actual man, and they were something. There was a term in the beginning known as the sons of the wicked, and that's who that serpent pertained to. He pertained to the wicked. And when Cain came on the scene, when he was born, through his line continued on that wicked seed, that serpent seed. The Lord brought the destruction, the flood, and they were wiped out. Then that seed or that wicked serpent seed came again through the Edomites. All right, that's the peoples that represent this serpent seed. All right. So now it says reptilian, relating to or characteristic of reptiles. Here it says of a person deeply disliked and despised, repulsive. So this is what we're going to deal with here, this definition. But this definition is relating to or characteristics of reptiles, the reptilian ancestors of mammals. Let me see something. Are people considered reptilians? I should have said are some people considered reptilians? It is important to emphasize that there is no scientific evidence or basis for the belief that some people are literally reptilian humanoids. But this is what they push out there because you had, I'm not sure if William Cooper spoke on that. I know he spoke about aliens and all that, but I know David Icke, he's heavy into that. He has a lot of good information, but then he throws you off with that reptilian bullshit, saying how these international bankers, so on and so forth, are reptilian and all this crap. That's total nonsense. And the scriptures debunk that. And even the AI overview says that there's no scientific evidence or basis for the belief that some people are literally reptilian humanoids. However, the idea of reptilian people appears in various contexts. Conspiracy theories, right? See, oh man, I didn't even know they named this dude, David Icke. He mentions this BS. Fiction and folklore. Reptilian humanoids are also common in mythology, folklore, and science fiction, appearing as various creatures like the Naga in South Asian traditions. Robert E. Howard's serpent men, right? And see, they get confused, the serpent men, with actual reptilian people, which that's total bullshit, man. Let's go. Let's see, how can we do this? Let's go to Genesis 3:1. And Salaki, this internet today is going super slow. Okay, Genesis chapter 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, had the Most High said, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So this serpent was an actual man. But the way that mythology paints it, the way that Christianity paints it, Roman Catholicism and other religions, is that it was an actual serpent slithering, climbing up a tree, and talking to the woman. No, that's not the case. Let's look up the word serpent. It's probably going to go, yeah, Nachash is going to go into the definition of serpent, so on and so forth. Serpent, snake, serpent, image of a serpent, fleeing serpent, mythological. Let's see, is under constellation of serpent, dragon, on the part of Italy, town, otherwise known, knights. All right. Okay, these are the names here. It's various, man. Okay, so let's look up real quick. Serpent definition. Let's see what comes up. Bitch, you know I was a snake. Remember that story? So pretty much it's letting you know that it's really a person. Serpent is something you like when somebody does you wrong, you call them a serpent. All right. Yeah, that's a good one. The brother put Job 30 and 29. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. Right. It's not talking about actual dragons and owls, it's talking about people. Now, let's build from here. Let's go from there because now let's go, right? And let's read verse 1. It says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit and a grain chain in his hand. This goes into, when you go into the breakdown, it goes into the Renaissance period. And he laid hold on a dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So here it's letting you know that this is the same, this referring to the same thing. That old serpent in the garden, all the way here in the book of Revelation. When we go to Revelation 12, right? I believe it's Revelation 12, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Revelation 12 and 9, which Revelation 12 and 3, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. Right. This is a representation of Esau's whole empire structure, beginning with the Greeks all the way to Britain and also America, their allies, the EU. When we jump down to the 9th verse, and the great dragon, which we read here in the vision, right? And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent. So it's letting you know it's talking about the same thing as Revelation chapter 20. Now, let's go from there to Revelation 17. This is what's called precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. 3 and 9. I'm sorry, 17 and 9. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. 7 mountains, heads is a representation of rulership, right? And the mountains is a representation of governments on which the woman sitteth, the woman being America. And there are 7 kings. Then you know it's talking about men. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. So it's letting you know that this dragon, the 7 heads, the 10 horns, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, are speaking about men. It's not speaking about, the spiritual demon Satan. It's not speaking about a reptilian. It's not speaking about an actual snake. It's speaking about people, specifically a nation of people who are known as the red people, the true red people of the planet, which the word true and Esau don't even go hand in hand, but they are the actual red people on the planet. This is why their name is known as the Edomites. When you break the term or the word Edom down, it's a name which goes back to the Hebrew Adawam, which means red, not to be confused with Adama. which is Adam's name, or which means ground. Okay, they look similar, they're spelt similar, but they have two different meanings. But what Esau did was, when he put together the Strong's Concordance, because I'm sure they used the Strong's Concordance to build the Blue Letter Bible, they lumped all those numbers together. So they'll tell you this goes back to this, and a lot of times it does. A lot of those root words work; they're perfect, but the blue letter goes off, just like the Strong's Concordance goes off. All right. So the name Adam and Edom are two different names, two different meanings. Adam means ground, Edom means red. All right. So we established that this is talking about men. It's not talking about a spiritual demon, Satan. It's not talking about a serpent, an actual serpent. And if you can't see it, then I don't know what to tell you. The elder put Revelation 19:19, and I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the throne on a horse and against his army. Yeah, because that goes hand in hand with Revelation 12. All right. So let's go back. All right. So we got that. So now we're dispelling the myth that they're so-called reptilians. Now, I want to get a couple of precepts. Right. First one is Job 13:4. It says, "But ye are forgers of lies, you are all physicians of no value." So Esau is a forger of lies. They create lies. All they do is create lies. Let's go to 1 Timothy 6:20. "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babbling." Why? Because there was a lot. Let's look at this in the NLT. There were a lot of myths and mythologies, even before Yahushua came on the scene, that were trying to, slowly but surely work their way into the scriptures. This is why you had, these fables, what the scriptures call Jewish fables, because they were adding mythology to the teachings. They were adding customs of the other nations to the teachings. That's why Yahushua came down to what? Set it straight. Right? So let's see. NLT. "Timothy, guard what the Most High has entrusted to you. Avoid godless, foolish discussions with those who oppose you with their so-called knowledge." See? With their so-called knowledge. Right? And that so-called knowledge is what? Science, falsely so-called, because science, ciencia, which is wisdom, also goes into knowledge. Let's look that up real quick. Let's go back to the interlinear. Let's see if science is one. Gnosis, that's where you get the word Gnostic, which means to know or knowledge. Ginosko, right? So it says knowledge signifies in general intelligence, understanding, the general knowledge of Christian religion, the deeper, more perfect, and enlarged knowledge of this religion, such as belongs to the more advanced, especially of things lawful and unlawful for Christians or anointed, moral wisdom such as is seen in right living. So Esau's so-called knowledge is false. And I'm sure it's going to say, yep, pseudonymous, which is where you get the word pseudo, which means false. Pseudonymous, falsely named. So pseudo is false. Onoma is where you get the word nomos, the nomos part from, is name. So false name. So watch out with their knowledge and their science of false names or false claims. And this is why you gotta watch that devil, man. They were more subtle than any beast of the field. So going back to Job 13:4, right? I want to get that word forgers, not Folgers. Tapal, to smear, plaster over, stick, glue. So what do? They take the truth and gloss it over with lies. That's why it says at the very end, the truth is going to be overcome. I'm sorry, the lies are going to be overcome by truth. Because what the Lord is doing with this knowledge, for those that can actually see, the Lord is removing that cheap veneer that Esau put on the world through his science, through his technology, through um, through his religion, through his indoctrinations, so on and so forth. Okay? Now, let's dispel right away that this is a lie. Before we do that, let's go to Genesis first. Genesis 1. Because we got to go back to the contract, big boy. Genesis 1 and 20. I'll start there. And the Most High, or the powers, Salakia, and the powers said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the what? Moving creature that hath life. So everything was created on the fifth day. Man, beast, reptile, fish, birds, creeping things, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And the powers created great whales, right? And the great whales is a representation of sea monsters. And every living creature that what moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind. See? So everything is in perfect order. That's why the Lord, through the mouth of the Apostle Paul, said, let all things be done decently and in order. And every winged fowl after his kind, and the powers saw that it was good. Why? Because it was according to the plans of the Most High, Yahweh. So let's go to that. After their kind. Boom. One word. Beautiful. Mayun. Mayun. Not to be confused with mayum. Mayum with a ma at the end is water. Mayun. Mayun. It says kind. Sometimes a species, usually of animals. Men are animals. People are animals. You're an animal. Because the word animal goes back to the word anima. Anima in Spanish is soul. That's where you get the movement. Animated. You move. Matter of fact, let's go at them online. Let's see if they're gonna spit some truth. Animal. Because sometimes even this etymology goes off. Okay, animal. Any sentient living creature is not man, including humans. Thank you. Thank you. That's all we need. Matter of fact, let's get this real quick and we'll come right back. We'll be right back in 2 and 2. Inside joke. This is oh no, my bad. It's not First Corinthians, it's actually Second Corinthians 5 and 17. And I'm sure there's others you could go to. These are just some of the ones that come to mind. I'll start at 16. Wherefore henceforth know we no man after the flesh. Yea, though we have known Yahweh Shai after the flesh, yet now henceforth know we him no more. Right, because we are born again. Right? Therefore, if any man, key word there, man, should be the word anthropos. Well, this one has tis, which goes into it. Therefore, if any man be in Yahweh Shai, he is what? A new creature. Because people have this misconception of the word creature. Creature just simply means to create. Creature. Oh, damn. Creature. Right? Boom. Creature. Anything created. Are not humans created? So can humans be creatures? Yes, because the word creature goes back to the word created. See, when people have this, they think of the word creature, they look thinking about a monster, some kind of crazy looking monster with 3 eyes or 7 eyes or whatever. But no, you could that could apply to a creature, but a creature is anything created. Yep, creature of hope. Yep, that's a good one. It says created being. So that's pretty much we don't even need to go any further. So if any man be in Yahweh Shai, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things have become new. All right. So he. All right. Matter of fact, let me see what it says in other translations. NLT. This means that anyone who belongs to Yahushua has become a new person. The old life is gone, a new life has begun. Matter of fact, let's see. Did I look up the word creature here? No, I did not. The word is kitisis, the act of founding, establishing, building, etc. The act of creation. Creation, an example, thing created. Of individual things, beings, a creature, a creation. Anything created. So you get the idea. It's something that's created. So going back to Genesis, right? After their kind is kind, sometimes a species, usually of animals, groups of living organisms belong in the same created kind if they have descended from the same ancestral gene pool. This does not preclude new species, blah, 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 blah. Right, sort, species. So man is a species, all right? So everything was created in the beginning after their kind. And the power saw that it was good. Okay? Now let's go even further into it. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15 and 39. This is pretty much the answer. If you want to cut to this is for the sake of the lesson, hit different precepts. But if you just want to cut to the chase and debunk these what's that shit called, evolutionists and all this other madness, you just go straight here. Yep, Judith 16:14. That all creatures serve thee, for thou spakest, and they were made. Thou didst send forth thy spirit, and it created them, and there is none that can resist thy voice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, brothers be on fire with them scriptures. Beautiful. Shows that brothers be studying. It's a good thing. Right. 1 Corinthians 15:39. All flesh is not the same flesh. You hear that? All flesh is not the same flesh. But there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. All right. And beast encompasses reptiles. Okay. Let's look up this word beasts. Let's see what it says for that. The word is either Thanos or Kanos. I'm not sure if the T is silent or the K. And this is not going to play. I tried to play it before. A domestic animal, beast. It's just a beast, period. So let's go back. So this is to show you that BS about evolution is nonsense, crap. And this is why, as much good information as David Icke has brought out over the years, most people will tend to dismiss certain information because of that reptilian bullshit, or they'll hang on to the stuff that he teaches plus that reptilian bullshit. And you hear a lot of people repeating that same bullshit. Now, another devil that was bringing something like that out was Zechariah Sitchin. And he was the one that spoke about the so-called Anunnaki, and he's the one that so-called translated the cuneiforms or whatever that was. I forget the language, which he didn't even know nothing about that bullshit. Zechariah, I think it's Sitchin or Sitchin. Yep, there he goes. Sitchin. Zechariah Sitchin, 1920 to 2010, was an author known for his theories about the ancient astronaut hypothesis, particularly his interpretation of ancient Sumerian texts. And he did not speak Sumerian. He proposed that humanity was created by extraterrestrial beings called Anunnaki, which the people on Earth were created by Yahweh Shai and the angels, but they're not no Anunnaki. From a planet beyond Neptune called Nibiru, Sitchin's work, including the Earth Chronicle series, has been translated into multiple languages and has sold millions of copies. So you have millions of people that have read, there goes the devil right there, read these things, and a lot of them repeat it, and believe it. Though it is not accepted by mainstream historians or scientists, right? Because it has no validity. Now, when you read the scriptures tell you who created everything. Let's go to Genesis 1. Genesis 1 and 1. And we went over this not too long ago. In the beginning, the powers. It says God there, but the word here is Alahayim, which is a plural way of saying God. So it should say, in the beginning, the gods created the heaven and the earth, Yahweh Shai and the angels. Okay? So they did create it. It says, and the earth was without form. So they created the earth, they created the light, they created so on and so forth. And then on the fifth day is when they created man. Man was created on the fifth day. Matter of fact, to prove that, Second Ezra's, the 6th chapter, come home, man, making me wait. And because this goes, the Spirit was revealing to Ezra, things that went on in the beginning, just like he showed Moses all of the secrets in the beginning, and Moses wrote down certain things and other things he left out. So here it is. We're going from let's see. In the beginning of the creation, this is 2nd Ezra 6:38. And I said, O Lord, thou spakest from the beginning of the creation, even the first day, and saidest thus, let heaven and earth be made, and thy word was a perfect work. Right? We jump down upon the second day, right? Thou madest the spirit of the firmament, right? Upon the third day, thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the seventh part of the earth, right? That's when the earth and the seas were created. Upon the fourth day, thou commandest that the sun should shine and the moon give her light and the stars should be in order, right? And gavest them a charge to do service unto man that was to be made. What? So he made them to do service unto man that was to be made. So this is the fourth day right here, when the sun, the moon, stars, and the constellations of the heaven were created to do service unto man. And that's why, when the kingdom is established, you're going to get back all of that science to be able to read the heavens. You're not going to have a calendar in the kingdom, having to cross off each day, because you're waiting for something. No. We're going to be able to look up into the stars and read the stars, read the heavens, read everything, know when the new moon's coming in, know when the celebrations and the Sabbaths and the high holy days are coming in. Right now, verse 47, upon the fifth day, thou saidest unto the seventh part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes, and so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things, that at the commandment of the Most High, that all people might praise thy wonderful works. Thy wondrous works. Then, the same fifth day, didst thou ordain two living creatures. The one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan. Who is Enoch? Learned man or dedicated, Chanawak. Right? The elder Chanak, this is his name. You have Chanawak and then you have Chanak. Okay? It says, so basically on the fifth day of the creation, that's when man was created. Right? And when they were created, They were created what? Let's read this again. Genesis 1:21. And the powers created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the powers saw that it was good. All right. Now let's go back to 1 Corinthians 15:39. All flesh is not the same flesh, and the word flesh in the Greek is sarx. But there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. Let's see, did I look this up in the NLT? Similarly, there are different kinds of flesh, one kind for humans, another for animals, another for birds, another for fish. Let me just see something. Right, they're men, anthropos. I did see that. Why did I say tis? Where the hell did I see that tis at? Oh no, it was somewhere else. Gotcha. Men, anthropos. A human being, whether male or female. See? On there. All right, so anthropos. So there's, and then the flesh, word flesh, sarx. Flesh, the soft substance of the living body, which covers the bones and is permeated with blood of both man and beasts. So there's one type of flesh of men, right? As we just read. But there's one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, another of birds. So everything has a different composition. That's why animals, makeup, like reptiles and stuff, they have a different mechanism, different makeup, depending on if they're clean animals or unclean animals. You see? But everything, like they have a digestive system, they have a brain, they have tongues, they have lungs, all of that. They have genital organs, sexual organs, all of that. But they're different. This is why the Lord chose the species of man to elevate them above and give them the intelligence above all these different beasts, to have dominion over them. But these devils will say, well, yeah, the reptilians. They're no fucking reptilians. So, in these movies, they put a lot of truth, but then they put bullshit in there too. Now, let's go to Psalms 58 and 1. It says, do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? So this is talking to you nations, but specifically, it's talking to you Edomites. It says, yea, in heart ye work wickedness. Spare me 1 second. It says, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. And I was looking for the scripture. I always think the scripture's in Psalm 73, but it's right here. Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth, because you have gone around the earth and destroyed everything. You're in everybody's business. Your hand is in everybody's cookie jar. You're taking the best lands and resources, from everybody. And the world is tired of you. And the world is seeing more and more every day through the internet and through all the information that's coming out and the news, that's coming out, that you small hats are the biggest problem on the planet. Esau in general, but you small hats. The world is waking up more and more to you. They're seeing you for who you really are. That's what the Lord said He will spew shameful spewing on your glory. So it says the wicked, talking about the Edomites. The Edomites in the scriptures are known as the wicked. That's why they're also known as the serpent, the devil, Satan. When you look at the word devil means slanderer. We used to say it means deceiver, but it means slanderer, which you could throw the word deceiver in there, but it really means slanderer. The word Satan means adversary. Small hats being put on blast by the world community. Yes, sir. That's right. And shalom to the elder Malcolm and the other elders, apostles, bishops, and you few sincere sisters, shalom. Yeah, they're being put on blast by everybody, and it's coming out. I mean, it's like the floodgates are open. That's why they're passing so much legislation that if you talk against them, eventually they're gonna start locking people up. Don't be surprised that certain people get put on, get put, deleted for speaking against these devils. No, and it's one thing if people were saying things about them that weren't true, but people are telling the truth. In this world, telling the truth, in a time of great deceit is a revolutionary act, And now that quote is often in the time of universal deceit. Telling the truth is a revolutionary act. I mean, so now this saying here is often attributed to George Orwell, who wrote the book in 1949, 1984. The book was called 1984, and eventually in 1984 it became an actual movie. And this saying was in there, but they attributed to him, but it doesn't it's not attributed to him. They don't know who it is attributed to. Yep, they kicking Esau out, white T out of Mexico because Issachar tired of their shit. Yeah, because they going down there and outbidding and making rent prices go up. Then they're telling Issachar that they can't have the mariachi bands out in the beach, and they're trying to um um for lack of better words colonize or get rid of all of the ancestral customs that Issachar has, because they don't like it. Well, fuck you. You in their land, goddamn devils. Or says the saying in the time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, suggests that in a society where dishonesty and misinformation are widespread, like America, like this world, the simple act of speaking of the truth becomes a powerful form of defiance and resistance. See? It says universal deceit. This refers to a situation where dishonesty, propaganda, or false information is prevalent throughout society, potentially shaping public opinion, which that's what they do. Not potentially, they're shaping public opinion, the masses of the people, through this propaganda that they're pushing out, through their religion, through their political system, through their economic system. You know, they're shaping or reshaping public opinion and even distorting people's understanding of reality. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're distorting the people's understanding of reality. And then when we come out and tell them what it really is, they get mad. Because when we come here, second of the sixth, and I believe, what is that? Is that Isaiah 59? I know it's in Isaiah somewhere, where it speaks about make a man an offender for a word. Second is 6:28. As for faith, it shall flourish. See, corruption shall be overcome. So now this world that is corrupt is being overcome. And how is it being overcome? By the word. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Nope. Go back, 2 Corinthians. All right. So it says, as for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome. And how is corruption being overcome? By the truth. Because the truth is pure. And when the truth is pure, it comes in and it removes all of those free radicals of lies. It's like alkalizing. The truth is alkalizing. Lies are acidic. And the truth alkalizes the lies and smashes them up and gets rid of them out of the body. Just like you have baking soda or you have vinegar, and you clean out, if you can't afford organic, produce, you put them in water with some apple cider vinegar. I'm not apple cider vinegar, regular white vinegar or baking soda or both, and let that eat up all of that pesticides and all that off of it. It's the same thing with the truth. The truth is exercising and expelling all of these lies around the world. So it says, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And that's what is breaking Esau down. And that's why they're trying to shut down the avenues of truth, the avenues of information going out, because they know that information is what's destroying, their plans. So that's why they're in such haste right now to get their new world order off the ground. From 2020 to 2030, they want to have the whole world in the palm of their hands. We're in 2025 right now, and they've managed in 5 years to get their plans so far ahead to where they never thought they would be this far. But it's the Lord allowing it, because the Lord is speeding up the time. And right now, we're in almost the end of July. What's today's date? The 28th. We got, 3 more days, 29, 30, 31. And then we'll be in August. We're already on the second half of the year. And the year just started. So 2 Corinthians 10:3, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Right, and that's what Esau hates, because Esau is a carnal man. Psalms 85:11, truth shall spring out of the earth, beautiful, and righteousness shall look down from heaven, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, and Esau hates that, because Esau, his blessing is the sword. So when someone opposes him with the sword, he can easily take him out. But this sword that we're battling Esau with is the word of the Lord, and they can't get around it. They can't. It's nothing that they could do to stop it. So what are they going to have to do eventually? They're going to have to try to get physical. Let's go to Ephesians 6:10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. What is the power of the Lord's might? Well, he said it. He's going to do it. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. I want to get one main one. Right, verse 14. Stand therefore, having your loins, meaning your mind, girt about with what? Truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. And this all we're just talking. And Esau is going down. Yep, that's another good one. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Beautiful. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness, and them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And pretty much that's the Lord, backing them into a corner by accepting Esau's lies, so that they can't receive the truth. Talking about Jake. Psalms 91:3, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noise and pestilence. Right, because if we remain under the shadow of the Almighty, then we're going to be protected. So let's go back to 2 Corinthians 10:4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. And that's what we're doing. We're pulling down the strongholds with what? With the truth. Pulling down. Let's look at this word, pulling down. Kathairesis. A pulling down, destruction, demolition. So the Lord's word is demolishing Esau's lies that he built. He built a castle on sand. Christianity is a castle on sand. It's a great stronghold, but it's still on sand. And that's why it's getting taken apart. And all of the holes in it are allowing the souls that are captured in it to flee. Certain ones of them that the Lord wants. But the rest, they're just locked in their chair. They have spiritual handcuffs in them chairs. They can't get out. But there's some of them that the Lord is bringing out, and that whole thing is falling apart because here it is, we're in 2025, and you're still singing that old tired ass, song, of Christianity. And Jake is getting tired of it. That's why the younger generation, even though they're bugged out, they're not even going to these churches because they know these churches are nothing but a big joke, especially the black church. So it says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahushua. And this is what the major thread is. So going back to Psalms 58 and 3, I'll start at 2 again. Yea, in heart you work wickedness. See? Yeah, because your actions or your words don't reflect your actions. You see? Because you say one thing, but you do something totally different, because the thing that you say with your mouth was just to deceive the people. But the thing that you actually do with your actions is what you wanted to do in the first place, which was what was in your mind from the get-go. Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. Yep. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. And that's all you do. And that's why you have this bullshit about reptilians and all that nonsense. Because all you do is speak lies. You forge the lies. You get off on lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent, see? So it's not talking about an actual serpent. Means that their poison is like the poison of a serpent. Because once a poisonous serpent bites you, it don't, in most cases, it doesn't kill you right away, but it kills you slowly. It starts to coagulate your blood in the veins and all that until your whole shit just stops. Your heart stops and everything. And that's how these lies are. That's why it says a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So it says they are like the deaf adder that stoppeth their ears, right? Because when you bring out the truth, they're not trying to hear it. They're deaf adders, like vocab. That's why he was hurt out there in that, remote area. I ain't even know that place existed in New Mexico. Vocab was walking around there, sad, looking for a pizza shop so he could drown his sorrows in the pepperoni Sicilian slices. He was hurt. And all we're doing is teaching the word. He was hurt because brothers were out there teaching the word. They'll believe it if it says it in the word. Inside joke. So these devils are done. They finished, man. So that's why they fast tracking their agenda. And I mean, in my estimation, it's not fast enough, but it's not about me. It's about Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. It says, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers. Who are the charmers? The prophets. So they're not going to listen to the voice of the charmers. Charming never so wisely, because we're pretty much, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, breaking it down correctly. And it can't be broken down any better or any clearer than what it is. But yet, still in all, these devils ain't biting. Because why? Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. NLT, ignoring the tunes of the snake charmers, no matter how skillfully they play, see? Because it's not in their spirit to receive this word. They're not built for this. They're not built like that. Their spiritual DNA is not connected to righteousness. It's connected to wickedness. That's why they thrive, and wallow in wickedness. But when it comes to righteousness, they're short, very short. Let's see, NIV, that will not heed the tune of the charmer, however skillful the enchanter may be. Yeah. Because, this truth, right, that we're teaching, if the Lord opened up the ears of Jake out there, they would receive it right away. because you can't break it down any plainer. This is why you have all these different Christians coming to the Israelites. You have individuals on different platforms talking about the Hebrew Israelites because that's a new talking point. That's a new money maker for a lot of these individuals. I ran across a video last night. I sent it to brothers. Let me see if I can find that. Let me find out. Just bear with me 1 second. I don't know if I actually clicked on it. You know what? Let me do it this way because this thing is acting up. Yeah, I sent it to a few brothers. It's called "Why Can't Hebrew Israelites Be Honest with the Bible?" Right? That's the title of the video. Why can't Hebrew Israelites be honest with the Bible? And I sent it to a couple of brothers. I sent it to the elder at Corner Watson in San Francisco, and he said, "This is what he said. He was juicing this morning, so he threw it on, listening to it. It said these dudes are arguing over Acts 7 about whether the 400 years is talking about America or not for like a whole hour. You know, so it's just like they're just using these different talking points. You know, but it's really just to get people to come to their platform with the carrot of the Hebrew Israelites, because if they were to go out there and do that shit without having Hebrew Israelite in the title, guess what? It'll be a desert out there. They ain't gonna make no money. That's why they gotta talk about the Hebrew Israelites. That's why they gotta have that in their title. You know, slaying of the Hebrew Israelites, or the this of the Hebrew Israelites, and the Hebrew Israelites, and you know. It said I was catching bits and pieces of it while juicing, and every time I stopped the juicer, he's still arguing about the 400 years. You know, I hope the elder don't get mad that I'm reading some of these comments. And then this is one of the comments he sent me that was on there. It says, "We are somebody named Mike KG Wash 33rd. We are not in bondage in America." Not right. Well, yeah, we are still in bondage, if you understand, the 14th Amendment. But that's wisdom is too high for a fool. All right, so it says, "Which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Break their teeth," meaning their power, O Most High. "In their mouth, break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai." Because the lion is a fierce animal, but a young lion are even more fierce. So that's how Esau is with his military. So King David is asking them to break their teeth, break their power. "Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows," just dealing with the missiles, "let them be cut in pieces," and they will. That's the only way Esau is going to be taken down, is when Yahweh and the angels come back and totally eviscerate their military. Other than that, there will be nobody else that could take them down. Why is that? Because the Lord set them up, and the prophecy said that Yahweh would be the one to come and knock them down. So there's not going to be no Chinese, no Russian, no other nation on the planet is going to take these devils down and restart a new empire after this. The empire is going to be started after this is Yahweh's kingdom / Israel's kingdom. "As a snail which melted, let every one of them pass away, like the untimely birth of a woman, that they may not see the sun. Before your pots can feel the thorns, he shall take them away with a whirlwind." Right, because the Lord is going to take these devils out, and Yahweh's chariot is coming to do business, both living and in his wrath. "The righteous shall rejoice." Okay, that's what the bug-out was telling the Israelite, but he didn't want to hear it. Salaka, the elder, just responded, So it says, "The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked." See? He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. So the righteous are going to rejoice when they see the vengeance. These clowns talking about, yo, you guys, you shouldn't be talking about that. That's not good. You should shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. "So that a man shall say, verily there is a reward for the righteous." And there is a reward. And some of you guys don't believe that. You don't believe that a reward is coming. That's why you're straddling the fence. You got your hands in your pockets. You do the very bare minimum. You know, you put more effort and energy into everything else in the world. When it comes when it comes to the work of the Lord, you get to it when you get to it. It don't work like that. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to wait for the Spirit to hit you. You know, if the Spirit really ain't on you, I mean, you could just jump in and pray to the Lord and give you the Spirit, but you have to wait. But at the end of the day, you don't just put the Most High on the back burner, you know, and do everything else, you know, and then you get to the Lord when you get to Him. He's priority number 100 down the list. It says, "Verily, He is a power that judgeth in the earth." So there is no such thing, as the title of the lesson is. There is no such thing as no goddamn reptilians. All right, we read in this lesson different scriptures that proves that, you know. And if you can't get it, if you still believe that, then hey, I don't know what to tell you. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom. Wow, whole hour went by.